Hi, I'm Vanessa from speakenglishwithvanessa.com. Are you ready to negotiate? Let's talk about it. Negotiating is a really important skill to have in life and especially in business. And today I want to talk about 3 different expressions or sentences that you can use to negotiate politely in a business situation, but you can also use these in your daily life. Let's start with the first one. Let's imagine that your boss tells you that he'd like to have a meeting next week. And this meeting is really important. You're going to be talking about the whole quarter's data. So you're going to need to compile the data, create a good way to present it, and talk with a lot of different team members in order to prepare for the meeting. So it's a lot of work, but you're not sure if you're going to be ready by next week. So how can you politely suggest or negotiate with your boss to maybe change the time of the meeting? Well, let's imagine that you are a therapist. A great way to negotiate, to start negotiations, is to imagine yourself as a therapist. A therapist hardly ever gives direct advice. They usually ask a question or try to indirectly get you to come to the same conclusion that they are thinking as well. So in our first example, it's the most indirect. And this isn't an emergency situation. Of course, in an emergency situation, you need to be direct as possible. But for this meeting situation or problem, concern that you have, you can start out with an indirect question. You could say, I see that you'd like to have the meeting next week. Do you think we'll be ready by then? Ooh, why is this a good negotiation statement? Well, first of all, in the beginning, you said, I see that you'd like to have the meeting next week. You're repeating what your boss said. So your boss knows that you're listening, you understand exactly what he's thinking, and you're asking him a question. So you're asking his advice. Usually in this way, it makes the boss have to think about it themselves. Do you think that we'll be ready in time? You're not saying we won't be ready. You're asking, what do you think? And maybe if the boss thinks about it a little bit, maybe he'll say, maybe we won't be ready in time. Or if he thinks that it's possible to be ready in time, he'll let you know. But this is letting him think about it just a little bit more. So this indirect negotiation is a good way to start talking about a concern that you have. Do you think that we'll be ready on time? Asking the other person, what do you think? The second way to negotiate is becoming a little more direct. So let's have the same situation. Your boss wants to have a meeting, but you're not sure if you'll be ready in time. You can say, I see that you'd like to have the meeting next week. We are concerned that the data won't be ready in time. Ooh, what kind of statement did we use here? It's not a question. It's not asking, do you think we'll be ready in time? It's a little stronger, but you didn't say I. You're talking about your team. We don't think that the data will be ready by next week. When you talk about a team, it shows that you have support, and it's also kind of indirectly putting the attention away from yourself. So in this way, you can be a little more direct without being too strong. We are concerned that the data might not be ready by next week. We think that possibly the data won't be ready by next week. Using we instead of just, I don't think it will be ready. The third and most direct way to negotiate, to get someone else to come to the same conclusion that you have, is to really tell them directly but politely. So you could say, I see that you'd like to have the meeting next week. Well, I'm afraid we aren't going to have the data ready in time. Would it be possible to reschedule it for 2 weeks? So here you're combining some of these ideas. You're using we aren't going to be able to have the data ready, and also a question. Would it be possible to reschedule the meeting? You're still appealing to your boss. He is the one in charge, so you're asking him, would it be possible? And it's giving him the chance to say, oh no, we really need to work hard and get it finished in 1 week. Or he could say, okay, 2 weeks, that's fine. If you want to add a little bit more to your direct statement because you feel it's really unlikely that you're going to have the data ready in time, you can add a little bit more. Every boss wants to be efficient, not waste time. So you can say at the end of this, would it be possible to reschedule the meeting in 2 weeks? I want to make sure that we will have a profitable and efficient meeting. Ooh, it shows that you're not lazy. You don't want to push the meeting to another time because you don't want to work. No, it means if the meeting is earlier, it might not be as profitable. It might not be as efficient because you won't have enough time to work hard to prepare. So if you want to add a little bit more, bosses love to hear these kinds of things because it's true. You want to have a profitable and efficient time. So we could say, would it be possible to reschedule the meeting for 2 weeks? Because I think it would be a more profitable and efficient meeting. Beautiful. A great way to show what you would like and also not be too direct about it. I hope that these 3 styles of negotiation, indirect, a little bit more direct, and more direct, are useful for you and you can use these. Now I have a question for you. Can you make a sentence or a question using these styles of negotiation in the comments? It's your turn to use this. And as you go about your job, as you go to your job and hear people using English, listen for these kinds of statements. I'm sure that you'll hear them because people use them all the time. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll see you the next time. Bye! The next step is to download my free ebook, 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. I want to help you master English and speak fluently. Feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss new English lessons. Thanks so much for learning with me. Bye!